So, show of hands, how many people here felt stressed or anxious before? Even just for a moment. Right, most people in this room, right? Now, the weird and annoying thing about anxiety is that it doesn't just affect our mental health, it also can affect our physical health as well.
We are so grateful that Transitions Mental Health comes out here because high schoolers are living in a really challenging environment these days. There are so many things happening in this world, and I think it's just so valuable to prepare students in a way that where they can feel confident in themselves to move through whatever challenges come their way.
A little bit about myself is I actually began my own mental health journey when I was in junior high, when myself and my friends began experiencing mental health challenges such as anxiety and depression.
And growing up, there wasn't a lot of conversations about mental health or suicide. But while I was going to school, actually I lost a good friend to suicide, and that kind of motivated me to start paying attention to my mental health.
So Transitions Mental Health Association has been around for over 45 years. The first 35 plus, we never went into the schools. That was not part of our mandate. That was not part of our contract with the county. But what changed was 9 years ago, my son was at Slow High. He was a senior. He was in the associated student body. And that year, a sophomore took his own life. And it was a shockwave through the campus. And my son came to me and he said, we're trying to figure out how to create more mental health support for the students. And so I brought in the 4 ASB officers, and they were fantastic. They told us exactly what they felt was missing on campus. And more than anything, it was the ability for students to look out for each other.
Typically, our Mental Health 101 presentation is broken up over 2 days. So our first part of Mental Health 101 covers a lot more of general information. Number one, the reason why we talk so unbelievably much about self-care when we're talking about mental health is because just like the 8 dimensions of wellness, self-care and mental health go hand in hand. They are extremely interconnected. Then we talk about signs and symptoms of mental health challenges. So how do you actually recognize when yourself or a peer is struggling? How do you implement those conversations and those tools? And then the second day we do suicide and suicide prevention. Why do people joke about suicide? Why do people make self-deprecating jokes? Why do people joke about the difficult things they're experiencing and going through? And I can answer that question through my own personal experience. When I was suicidal, when I was experiencing suicide ideation, when I had days where I couldn't get out of bed, I was so exhausted of trying, I made a lot of jokes about suicide. I made a lot of self-deprecating jokes. I made a lot of jokes at my own expense, and I made a lot of jokes about killing myself. And the reason is because when you're going through something truly debilitating and scary and vulnerable, such as thoughts of suicide, it can be a lot less scary, a lot less vulnerable, and a lot more manageable to make a joke about it than to actually have that vulnerable conversation with somebody. The most important thing for us is making sure that students feel seen and feel heard, and one of the best ways to do that is through personal storytelling. For me personally, personal storytelling has been the most impactful and kind of gave me the courage to talk about my own mental health journey and kind of start seeking my own care. So I found that, being able to self-disclose at least a little bit here and there throughout the presentation can help students feel less alone.
She is able to confidently get up in front of 35 students who she doesn't know at all very well. And she's able to share her own journey and her struggles. And that resonates so well with the kids. The fact that she can get up there and she can share her personal struggles with the class, and here's what I've gone through, and here's how I am able to work through it. I mean, that's the magic touch right there.
If you are ever unsure as to whether or not somebody is being serious about their intent of wanting to die by suicide, always ask the question, are you considering suicide? are you thinking about killing yourself? I know that sounds scary. I know that sounds overwhelming. I know that seems like it might create the opposite effect, but I want to be immensely clear when I say this. Asking somebody about their suicide intent not only lowers anxiety, but most importantly, it will significantly reduce the risk of an impulsive act from happening.
Well, was there something brand new that you learned today?
That I had a lot of those, I had a lot of those problems, not suicide problems, the other ones, and a lot of stress problems.
Is there anything you wish they talked about?
Not really. I think it was all pretty good. They covered pretty much everything.
I think a lot of people assume that the students are more disengaged when we talk about this, or that they're uncomfortable, that they don't really want to have these conversations. But it's surprising how much more the students kind of lock in when we start talking about suicide. As soon as I say we're going to be talking about suicide and suicide prevention, the students who are typically, napping on the desks or being distracting or doodling, they will sit up immediately and they'll pay attention the whole time. We're going to walk you guys through step by step how to actually navigate this conversation if you ever do find yourself talking to somebody who you are concerned is seriously considering suicide. There are 2 very simple words you can say that will make a huge positive impact on this conversation. Just telling them thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being brave. The curriculum has changed a lot over the last 3 years. Specifically, the positive and negative self-talk was something that we didn't even have in the original curriculum, but it was something that we were noticing more and more with our youth, of this being a serious struggle. Even on the surveys, occasionally we would get students who would write like, I'm stupid, or I'm not understanding this, and so it was noticeable that this was something that was needed.
If you are having a conversation with someone and you're not really sure how to have that conversation, you forget every single step in ALEC, that's okay. You can call the hotline and we can walk you through how to have those conversations around suicide with your friends.
I would say the most important message is that it's okay to need support, and it's okay to recognize when you need help.
It's all a great experience, but seeing them in person and going in, there's nothing like it. It really shakes things up in my day. So I always really appreciate going in and seeing the younger kids and seeing them connect to the material and, ask insightful questions. It's amazing.